We're good. Are we still recording?
We're good.
Okay. Good.
Of all the people to not go pinky out.
Oh, that would have been the time. I'll try it again.
Now it feels like you're forcing it.
Yeah,
I was forcing it. I was
I
assuming we're getting a tight zoom on that.
Oh. Okay.
So, how's work?
It's an interesting time right now, where
What is right now? What do you mean right now?
in the year of our Lord 2024, January 19th.
So, like specifically today, it's an interesting time today.
Well, I feel like the last couple months have been interesting. It seems like companies are trying to figure out what they want the next X number of years to look like for their company, coming off of the whole last 3 years. 2020 to 2023, like that was the story, and that story is more or less done, if not at least onto a new chapter. And so, what's the next chapter look like?
Yeah, and there's all kinds of expectations, whether it's we're heading into a recession, then it's AI is going to take over all the jobs, and that's resulting in just huge demographic shifts, or like employment shifts, people just getting cut, and potentially like from being overhired. Kind of opens the door to, with all of the hiring, was there now a quality problem with the people that you do have in places? So there's been such an explosion in some jobs and roles over the last 5 to 10 years.
I made the comment, COVID is so 2020.
Mm-hmm.
What I was trying to say is we had that period of lockdown, and then we had that period of, okay, we're locked down, okay, we're not, okay, we're locked down, okay, we're not, and then there's that period of COVID's everywhere, and okay, I think we're in the clear, and wait, COVID's all over the place again. And it feels like that's kind of all behind us now. I mean, there was an official declaration at the end of the pandemic, but there's some lingering after effects. Am I wrong?
I've seen. I was talking with my doctor about it a few months ago, and there seems to be like an increase. You have to know the name of the thing that you have now. Where, like, I went and I did it. That's how I realized it was a thing. It was like, I have more than a cold, so I went and I'm like, what is it? And she's like, well, it's a virus. There's 1,000 different ones that look almost identical, and
now there's 1,001.
I can tell you the exact name if you want, but the fact is you're gonna be sick for a week.
Yeah.
And that's
okay.
it.
So that's where we are.
Yeah.
So when I say things like that, I'm trying to be sensitive to the fact that yes, we're not in the throes of COVID. We're not in the middle of the chaos of COVID. We've emerged into a different state,
Normal.
Yeah, right.
Which is
Context,
which
because
is weird, because that phrase was thrown around for a really long time of like, what is the new normal?
Yeah, but it was being asked when we were in an absence of normal.
Yeah.
And I think we've sort of settled on a new normal. And I think the problem is the definition of that new definition of normal is different for you than it is for you, than it is for me, than it is for anybody else that's here. And
Sure.
I think, perhaps you can refute this if you care to, that's that's causing conflict.
Mm.
It's these just these little examples of you just said a little thing that didn't quite land in my brain the way I wanted to hear it. And we're carrying just tons of those shards around with each other. Every time we say something where there's some tiny piece of reflection of my reality doesn't match up to your reality.
So this is the door we're opening, huh?
I'm sort of trying to lay the groundwork for the idea that things are different at work now than they used to be.
It seems like over the last few years, I've noticed an increased emphasis on the individual, more so than the collective. In a weird way, where like for the good of the collective, we as individuals need to act a certain way. But the way I see that people acting that out day to day is it's more about me than it used to be. It's more about how much fun am I having at work? How much fun am I enjoying the thing that I'm doing right now, or the role that I have, compared to what it used to be. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing yet.
But can I add another item to that list of it being about the individual? Is it necessary that I show up to the place that other people are in order to get the things that I want to get done today?
That question certainly fits, and I don't think there's any one answer to it. I think is the problem.
But that's these are the shards that I'm talking about, because I had this much professional work experience before COVID, and then COVID, and now this much. Mm-hmm. Whereas there are others that have had this much, and then COVID, and then this much, and others who started their professional experience during COVID. That's their set of expectations. Like, I'll show up when it makes sense for me to do my thing, but not really consider so much.
Is a good spectrum to put the question on. Is one end, I am there to serve the system, and the other end is the system is there to serve me.
So that's one part of that focus, but there's also just the big shift towards work that you can do not at work. Like, a lot of the knowledge work that you have, and the proliferation of the internet, and communication tools that didn't even really exist 20 years ago. 25 years ago, you had AOL Instant Messenger, which, I mean, is precursor to Teams, but you didn't have the voice chat, you didn't have the file sharing nearly as easily, you didn't have collaborative tools on documents. It was, maybe let me email you this thing, and by the way, your email only holds like this much space. So a lot of that shifted. People could actually do a lot of the work. They didn't have to show up and like build cars in nearly the same proportion as they did in times before. But you also had this giant backlog of work that was built up of things that people could execute against during the COVID times. So where I see like more of the challenges falling into play are less in the execution, because I think it's easier to do the execution side of something when people are distributed and virtual, and it's kind of heads down, focus on your thing or your piece of the thing. But the part that really falls apart is how do we figure out what the next thing to do is? Yeah. And that's where like the collaboration and the context, and that's where I see like, I was seeing it before COVID. So I still see it. So I don't think it was just that thing made it happen. I think that it made it worse, that a lot of people are just less interested in, why am I doing this thing that I'm doing?
Thanks for tuning in to Raise the Bar. We have a conference coming up that you should know about. It's DevOps Midwest, and we're proud to host it. We have a great lineup of speakers this year. We're going to talk about the latest in DevOps innovations. We're talking modern development practices, security, DevSecOps, cloud development, AI's impact on DevOps. This is an opportunity to network and learn from your peers. We've got practitioners and leaders alike in this thing. It's April 11th. We've got 2 tracks we're running simultaneously. Space is limited at our new location, so make sure you register today. And don't miss it. We've got a panel discussion with IT thought leaders around the middle of the day. Early bird ends March 11th, so if you want to snag a discount to attend, go ahead and do that. I hope to see you there.